But first things first, Max, what's your feeling it, man? I'm sure the last 48 hours have changed somewhat, right? What's your take?
I think initially it wasn't good, because I'm such a huge Marcus Smart fan. To lose him anyway, to me, was like something like it's like you lost support of your family. And I'm sure that's what a lot of the Celtic Nation did. Felt like it's part of one of their own had gone. And but the thing you start realizing about basketball, and you have to realize it, and it's a business. I think that's the last thing I got out of talked to a couple of people who said Marcus took it really tough, being traded. He thought that he was the last one to go. He thought he was going to be the last one on the ship.
Yeah, you want to spend his whole career in Boston.
Yeah, and then to move him, like I say, it did take a hard. I got out a tweet to him. I told him, I said, at the end of the day, you can have all these things, but you have to be also in a situation where you got to realize it's business. It's a business situation.
CLNS Media's Celtics coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.
So I think that Marcus is okay now, but again, it just hurts when you think about who he's done, who he is, and what he's done for this franchise. And I can't wait for the first night he comes back. The standing ovation.
Oh, man. The tribute video. Oh, yeah. Video, I hadn't even thought about that until now.
Me and my daughter, who is kind of, she's over there in the green. She's over there, with her niece. She's sitting there. Probably can't see her, but she's someplace in there. She was the first thing she says is, hell, Marcus Smart was so damn loyal. He dyed his hair green. And she said,
he's got to change that.
How'd that work out for him? So I think that a lot of people are looking at it in a situation that it is tough. It's very tough. But now let's go on the other side. What does Kristaps Porzingis, what does he bring to the table? He's a 20-point game scorer. He's a guy who probably is going to score where the Celtics really got hurt, where they didn't get easy baskets in the paint.
Yeah.
And you think of that, you think that's where you get a guy who is 7'4", who can get some easy baskets around the rim with post-ups. He is a 3-point threat, no doubt about it. But I think he also can do a lot of damage in that mid-range area, especially around the paint. And the Celtics haven't had that in a while.
And that's what killed them in the playoffs, right? I mean, just not having someone that could do that for you. On the opposing side, it was Joel Embiid doing that against you, so now they kind of have a response to that. And I love the way they would look against a team like the Miami Heat, which obviously if you're the Celtics, you have to keep that in mind. A team that, knocked you out of the playoffs is probably going to come right back around and try to do it again. So, I from the very beginning, I just knew going into this offseason that they're going to address the front court and they're going to use one of their guards to do that. And did I think it was going to be Marcus? No. But do you get a better return? I don't think so, right, Max? Like, I can't see them getting a better return in terms, again, of addressing that particular part of their roster, right? Addressing the front court, bringing in front court help because they need it. Rob's not always healthy. Al's not getting any younger. I mean, we've been saying this for weeks now. So this is I think this is Brad Stevens' top choice. And I think when it came down to it in the final hour, when the names switched up and he had to pivot over to another team because he's like, look, I'm not going to wait for the Clippers to tell me no in the final hour. I'm going to set things up already. And I think this is a deal he probably already had lined up as a backup plan because for Memphis to go ahead and pull the trigger as fast as they did, it just shows that, right? But again, I don't think this is a move where you're like, this organization is like, we have to get rid of Marcus. We have a Marcus Smart problem. I don't think that was the case.
But really, is it Memphis or is it really Washington who, gets off an asset like that?
Yeah.
And what does Washington get back? They got Jones that came in. I don't think that, what did Washington really gain other than getting rid of a big salary?
Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing though, right?
Maybe
it's
Washington
because of the new CBA. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just a serious salary dump.
Yeah.
Because Washington didn't get back anything that I looked at and went, wow, they're building for the future. I think they got a couple of picks and Jones and, they went and got Jordan Poole. So Washington really is reconfiguring their whole as a team.
Yeah, and I think Brad knew that going into the offseason. Like he's had Porzingis on his radar, man. Like he knew what Washington's going to do. Washington showed them what they're doing, right? Giving up, just trying to shave off as much salary as they can and just hit the reset button.
But is it really that much of a salary dump that they did? They got rid of also Bradley Beal. Beal was involved.
That was the first domino.
So you're telling me you got Bradley Beal, you got Porzingis out of there. A couple of people right now are trying to get long-term contracts. Kyle Kuzma wants a long-term deal. He turned down, I think, $18 million a player option. So Washington is going to be interesting to see what they've done. But man, the way they pulled that trigger to get Porzingis out of there and what they got back in return, it really was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I mean, it seems like Boston and Memphis came up way bigger than anybody. You know what I mean? But as they say, right, Brad got the best player in the trade. I mean, that's always the where you want to be when you're trying to stretch this championship window out. And I think that's what he's doing, essentially.
CLNS Media's Celtics coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.